On this episode of the Carolina Sports Guy, folks, we're diving in. 3 things we're going to need to watch on Sunday against the Jets for the Carolina Panthers offense. Before we get into today's video, make sure you subscribe. It doesn't cost anything. Hit that bell notification to be notified of future videos on the Carolina Panthers, Charlotte Hornets, Carolina Hurricanes, and major college sports in both North and South Carolina. Pound that like button. And by the way, folks, leave me some comments. I love the dialogue. And in case you haven't been yet, check out my new channel, That Carolina Guy. And I'll be putting out a little bit of extra things that just go on in my life that I'm trying to blow off steam, or things that I kind of care about other than the college sports in the Carolinas. And Panthers, Hurricanes, and Hornets. Okay, folks, not to ramble on. Let's kind of get into this video today. I want to bring up 3 things we need to look for from the offense. And I'll have a little bonus thrown in as well. The number one thing, and I think it's probably coming from our best player on offense without a doubt, is Christian McCaffrey. Is he coming back from injury? Is he going to be the pre-McCaffrey before he was hurt last year? Or are we going to start to see a decline in his performance? Mind you, if he gets hurt again this year like he did last year, and he doesn't perform and play as much, that contract he signed is going to be kind of detrimental to his franchise. Now, we're not saying that he needs a 2,000 yards in a season as far as the receiving and the rushing the ball. We know that happened under the Rivera regime, but we also know how that team turned out as far as wins and losses. I don't think McCaffrey is going to be in the realm. I think he's definitely going to have 1,000 yards rushing if he plays the whole season. Now, will he get 1,000 yards receiving with all the receivers that we have on his team? Probably not. But it's going to be interesting to see just how much he is utilized by Sam Darnold and this offense. So I definitely think we got to lean on McCaffrey a little bit. Now, one of the things we got to watch with McCaffrey here is we got to watch for this line. Because even though the line hasn't improved by leaps and bounds, and as bad as it is, folks, and it is our glaring, the guards on this team and our left tackle, I don't think the offensive line is any worse than it was 2 years ago when he got those 2,000 yards rushing. Now, that remains to be seen. But we got to look at McCaffrey here and see how many touchdowns he's going to get per game. Is he going to have 1 rushing? Is he going to have 1 receiving? That's kind of his standard. Last year, played 3 games, getting 6 touchdowns, a receiving and a rushing touchdown in each game. Now, behind this line, are they going to open up the holes for him, particularly in the middle? Those guards and center going to open up the holes, because McCaffrey doesn't need much room. He just needs a glimmer. If he can get in, he'll make his yards. If he busts through that first line defense, we know that he can just accelerate and be gone in a minute with his vision. But if this line gets stonewalled, it's going to be interesting to see if we have to depend on the passing game as much. So that's the one thing I think we need to keep an eye on is McCaffrey. And number 2 is Sam Darnold, without a doubt, our quarterback. A lot of prognosticators are saying that he's the worst starting quarterback of all 32. I think that's a bit much. Now, I'm not saying he's the best by far, but I say definitely in the middle of the pack. Remember, Sam Darnold was a high draft pick. Also remembered, wasn't given a very good offensive line. Not that he's got one much better with Carolina when he was with the Jets. And he definitely has better weapons now. The Jets didn't surround him with much. And the coaching. He's definitely going to have better coaching than what he had with Adam Gase in New York. Now, how much will he use his safety valves? Once we've already talked about Christian McCaffrey. Dumping off to McCaffrey out the backfield, if it goes from a 3-yard gain to a 30-yard gain, that's going to pad Darnold's numbers. It's also going to give him confidence. How much is he going to rely on the tight end, Dan Arnold? If he starts to get pressure and the tight end picture seems clear and we get a mixed match, it's going to be very clear that using the tight end is what Cam Newton did when he had Greg Olsen here. So that's going to be another key valve we're going to look at for Sam Darnold. Will he be able to throw the ball deep? Now, we looked at McCaffrey, the offensive line would running the ball. What about passing the ball? Preseason, we saw a lot of dips and dunks by Darnold. Didn't really see him develop the ball long. Now, is that because Brady and Rule decided not to show much to these teams in the preseason? Do we play it vanilla? Or is it basically to cover up some glaring holes that we do have on this offensive line? How long can that line hold up to give Darnold time to throw the ball deep? Because if he's given time, folks, Darnold has the arm strength. He can throw the ball to DJ Moore. We get speedy receivers back in a couple of weeks like Shi Smith, Robbie Anderson with his speed can be the difference. So we're going to have to look at the pass blocking for Sam Darnold in this game and seeing how well he performs. And finally, number 3, folks, is the three-headed receiving monster. You know, we're not going to talk about Shi Smith or Zylstra. Really, right now, we're concentrating on Robbie Anderson. He has that chemistry with Darnold. He's coming off this big contract. He is the one I think will score a touchdown in the receiving crew for this team this week. Now, also looking at DJ Moore. He's going to be a receiver. Tends not to be the one to score the touchdowns, but he does tend to be the one when he gets the ball. He has the yak. He has the yards after the catch. It's going to be interesting to see how Darnold and DJ Moore hook up with each other in this first game against the Jets defense. And finally, folks, Terrace Marshall Jr. Going to be putting him in the slot. It's going to be a mismatch. If we get him the ball as a rookie, how well can he perform? Can he come out and show the skills he's got? Can Darnold utilize him? Because I think Marshall, you know, we talk about rookies hitting the wall or not really getting into a game and doing much. He blossomed and bloomed so much in training camp and preseason. I think that the top can come right off in the regular season for Terrace Marshall Jr. And that's something that can give Darnold some more confidence. So we got to look at that three-headed monster of DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson, Terrace Marshall Jr. How well are they going to perform in this offense this first week? And on a side note, got a little glaring concern because let's say it's a fourth issue to talk about. How good is Ryan Santoso, Nacho Libre going to perform kicking the ball? It's going to be a concern, folks, not really kicking the ball, but if we're getting field goal range. I'm hoping we can just keep the scoring touchdowns, and we just need him on extra points and he can do his job. But that's something to keep an eye on. Also going to have to look at our punt return and kick return. That's probably going to be a big glaring need for us because we've already cut David Moore and we let Trenton Cannon go. Are you really going to put DJ Moore and Christian McCaffrey back there returning kicks? If Shi Smith wasn't inactive for these first couple of weeks because of being hurt, and I'm not saying he's necessarily inactive, but he's probably not going to play for a couple of weeks, I think I'd feel pretty positive about him returning kicks. But if he comes back in 2 weeks, does he need any time to knock that rust off returning any kicks? So we got to look at that. All right, folks, what do you think of today's video? What do you think the 3 major points are for the Carolina Panthers offense in this game? Like I said, McCaffrey behind this run offensive line, Darnold behind this passing offensive line, and the three-headed monster receivers, and then learn about our special teams on offense. Leave me some comments. I love the dialogue. Make sure you pound that like button. Hit that bell notification to be notified of future videos like these. And by all means, folks, subscribe. It doesn't cost anything. And we'll see you on another episode of Carolina Sports Guy.